I was just pondering over things, and I was just thinking about anger. And I was reimagining scenarios where I would, let's say, stand up for myself. And I realized that despite the pain, despite the rage, despite the cruelty, despite the humiliation, despite the embarrassment and the shame, it's never worth It's a tricky one, because I feel like I'm not so sure about it, but looking back and looking forward, it seems like it's never worth acting out of anger, or speaking out of anger, or writing out of anger. Basically, any speech or action that comes from a place of fear or worry or anger or any of these negative emotions, it's never worth it. You can, however, learn from it. It can point the way, just like pain can point the way. The anger can point to the wound. The anger is a secondary emotion from hurt, so it can tell you if you react in a rage, it can tell you that there's a wound there, that a nerve has been hit, a trauma has resurfaced, an old wound that was festering, that was never healed, that I tried to push away, came back. Bashing on the door reminds me of the home treatment team. I used to ask them, just call my phone when you get here, come, please don't do morning, please call my phone. They didn't call my phone. They bashed on the door. 9 a.m. I'd wake up in a shock. Boom, boom, boom. Home treatment team. I wonder why people have such bad mental health issues. When the people that are meant to be there to support them end up provoking them further, traumatizing them further. People go into a psychiatric ward in what should be a calm, collected, rational environment that supports them, that rehabilitates them. Instead, it's an environment that's likely to wound people further. It's like a shit show. You could even call it a freak show. Everyone pushed in together. Everyone thrown in together. When they're not all the same. They're at different stages. Some people may have just had a temporary thing happen and it sent them over the edge. Some people, like myself, have endured a lifetime with different forms of abuse and manipulation and mind games. Some people were beaten regularly. Some people were abused at such a young age that they developed some sort of rage disorder whereby they're locked in the bathroom by the staff, trying to pull the door open, screaming, foaming at the mouth. One guy running over another guy, running after him, with a lighter in his hand, trying to set him on fire. That was a scary place. Thames Ward. That was fucking scary. Man. I suppose now that I've processed these emotions, it's like now this is the real me speaking. This is the real me. The real me. The real me is the real me is whatever I'm feeling right now. The real me is what I know to be true. The real me is what I remember. The real me is water. Be like water. I fantasize about who I could be, who it feels I should be, if I wasn't damaged. But Steve said, Mark's not broken. He doesn't need to be fixed. There is no real pressure on me, other than the pressure that I put on myself. But it's like been hardwired into me. From such a young age, I couldn't breathe. Couldn't breathe. Mark, do this, do that. Mark, look at the camera. Mark. Do this, do that. Oh, he spilled oil on the carpet. Go on about it for years. Keep telling him you spilled oil on the carpet. My dad would say, You're conscientious. You're conscientious. You're conscientious. Why was he saying that? It didn't feel right. Just to keep pointing it out. It was almost like it made him feel uncomfortable that I was conscientious. So now it's hard for me to be positive about being conscientious. So then I let things slide. I suppose it's a bit like my sister, who used to keep her room very tidy. Then once my dad kept interfering and going in her room and moving her stuff, she couldn't keep the room tidy anymore, because keeping the room tidy was a reminder that he would mess up the room. He used to go in my room as well and move my things. I remember once I said to him, I know I can't stop you going in my room because it's your house. You're going to go in my bedroom and you're going to move my things. But please, before you go in there, can I just ask one favor? Don't move the stereo from the bottom shelf. Just leave it where it is, because if you move that, I won't be able to reach it. I got home and it was on the top shelf and I couldn't reach it. And when I asked him, why did you do that? Years later, I said, I can't understand. I can't understand. I made it clear that was the one thing I didn't want you to do. And you did it. Tell me why you did it. He said, oh, it's because when you told me not to do it, you gave me an idea. You gave me an idea, he says. Many, many years later, he was diagnosed with autism. He thanks me for it now. At the time I got him diagnosed, my mother said to me, you're very cruel for getting him assessed. You're humiliating him, you're being very cruel on him. Why do you need to waste money on the assessment? She's since used that certificate twice. Once to get the place where he works to treat him fairly, and the other to get him out of jury duty. So much for a waste of time and money. Does she appreciate it? No. Does she respect me for it? No. Does she make allowances for me? No. But she made allowances for him when he attacked us. She let that slide. But she didn't let anything I do slide. Or my sister slide. She held that against us. So many wounds. So many wounds. I worry sometimes that I can't heal from all of them. I wish I could. I have some faith that one day it will all make sense. No, right now it makes partly sense. It makes part sense. Part sense. What should I call this video? Maybe I don't need to decide now. Maybe that's the problem. I see a hurdle in front of me. And it provides me with fear. It's like I need to know. I need to know. That's how easily the worry can take over. Even as simple as not knowing what to call the video is a source of anxiety. Why do I think so much? Because no matter how much thinking I do, I always seem to get myself in hot water. So it's my strategy to think my way out of problems. But some problems you can't think your way out of. It takes action. It takes action in the form of mindful living, tasks, productivity, walking meditation, sitting meditation, studying the Dhamma. I used to think it was just one way or the other, that we either used the therapy method, the psychology method, or we use the Buddhist method, which for a while seemed like running away. But now I realize that the two can come together. The psychology and the Dhamma. The psychodynamics and the spirituality. The psychodynamics and the mind. The psychodynamics and the awareness, the witness. The non-identification with oneself, with one's problems. Knowing that it's not what's happened that is the problem. It's the way it's been processed, often in maladaptive ways. However, there was no other way. Because if there was another way, then it would have happened. Everything happens exactly as it should be. Exactly as it should do. There's no way we're not in control. I'd like to have control. But I'm not sure that we're ever in control. The greatest control we have, the greatest power we have, is to know that we're not in control and that we don't have power. Yuttadhammo said to me once, in an email. He said, try to watch your experience rather than change it. And he's right. Because it's a bit like the film The Butterfly Effect. Every time I try and change something, I make it worse. Every time I reimagine how I could do something differently, I imagine making it worse. Maybe not every time. Sometimes I imagine myself acting skillfully. Much of the time,